We would like to thank everyone for coming out today. Today is Monday, January the 20th, 2014. While we're celebrating the anniversary of Martin Luther King Day here in Louisville, Kentucky, there's a group of community organizations, labor unions, and other folks who are very interested and have a vested interest in West Louisville development, specifically the property right here around 18th and the Broadway, which is the former site of the Philip Morris project, or Philip Morris site. Today we'd like to open up with Avery Kolers from the Kentucky Labor Institute, who would like to talk a little bit about the report that we're unveiling today. And so, Avery, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks everyone, and happy Martin Luther King Day. The Kentucky Labor Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating workers and the public about the situation of workers in Kentucky and figuring out how to better that situation. Jobs with Justice asked Kentucky Labor Institute to write a report on whether Walmart would be a good addition to this neighborhood. I've developed that report without any preconceptions, without assuming that the question was about for unions in particular or for anyone in particular, but for the neighborhood. What I found was that when Walmart comes in, jobs don't come in with it. So the average Walmart now employs about 281 people. The average Walmart, when it moves in, costs about 300 jobs to the neighboring community. The closer you are as a business to the Walmart, the more likely you are to go out of business. Walmart, and I emphasize, this neighborhood needs investment. But the question is, what kind of investment would be the right kind of investment for this neighborhood? So the report, in addition to showing that Walmart pulls money out of the neighborhood, pulls investment out of the neighborhood, moves that money back to Bentonville, Arkansas, and to shareholders. What's needed is investment that will generate wealth in the neighborhood. And that could be done in a number of different ways, with a retail hub, with education, with healthcare, with building community wealth and capital through developing small businesses. There's no single way that development needs to happen here. That's not, the point isn't that there's one panacea. The point is actually that there isn't one panacea. Walmart comes in and presents itself as a panacea, but it really isn't. It sucks wealth out of the neighborhood. What we need is to build wealth in this neighborhood, developing small businesses and making sure that people have a say in their own future. When the city tore down the Philip Morris plant, it promised a collection of housing, retail, offices, and those things now seem to be by the boards, and we have no idea why. That would be a really good alternative to Walmart. But really the important thing is that the community needs to be engaged and wealth needs to be built in the community, not sucked out of the community to Bentonville, Arkansas. So thanks very much.
What's your name again?
Avery Kolers, Avery-Kolers, and I'm a board member of the Kentucky Labor Institute.
Thank you. Thank you, Avery. We'd now like to hear from Casa Heron, who's an economic development specialist.
Good morning. I'm not a homegrown resident of Louisville, West Louisville. I came here 17 years ago and I've grown up as a young woman here in Louisville. I came here as a freshman at the University of Louisville. And upon graduation, it was the work within West Louisville communities, a small town in Shelley Park, that focused my career path on my interest of people and community engagement, public policy and service, and my interest in food and economic development. I began working as a community organizer with a group called Community Farm Alliance, and during that time I was working with residents to develop farmers markets, and folks saw those farmers markets as a way to stimulate economic activity in their neighborhoods. It was during those 2 years of working in these communities that I began looking at food and other services that aren't available to communities as a way to stimulate local economic development initiatives, both in urban communities and in rural communities. It was that work that allowed me to sit on a task force under Mayor Abramson that was looking at the Philip Morris property and looking at what to do. During that time, big box retail was on the table. It wasn't a Walmart, it was a Target. And there was a market study that was published that said that this community will not support big box retail. Subsequent to that work, my group and us, we organized a visioning session for community residents. We had about 50 or 60 people come out and talk about what could be possible here at 18th and Broadway. And while we certainly had an interest in food being a part of that vision, folks wanted a number of things. As Avery said, they wanted a mix of activities, not just food manufacturing or collecting, but having other retail services, a mixture of services available, entertainment opportunities. And so that vision was created. Nothing happened with that. TMG came along and created their vision, which at the time they called it the Summit of West Louisville. That was similar, not the same, but it was similar. And now, 10 years later, here we sit again with big box retail as the answer. And so I'm not going to talk a whole lot more about why Walmart may not be the best solution to economic development here at this property, beyond the labor issues and encouraging mass consumerism and the question of whether or not Walmart will put money back into the community. Will Walmart secure a local marketing firm for their work? Will they secure a local law firm to do their work, to help support? Will they put that money back into the community? That's a question to be asked. But moreover, Walmart at this great piece of land is just not innovative. We have a new mayor that renamed his Economic Development Cabinet to have the word innovation. And I think that across the country, communities have rejected the notion that Walmart can be the answer to their urban economic distress issues. I think we saw that in Chicago. We've seen that in communities in California that said that we won't accept this non-innovative approach to stimulating our economy. So today I stand with my brothers and sisters at Kentucky Jobs of Justice, and on this day in which we honor the life and legacy of Dr. King. And I hope that we would dream for a better economic vision for West Louisville. One that does two things. One that's collaborative. There are tons of plans that are sitting on the shelves in local government that have had plans for this corner, that have plans for tons of other neighborhoods in the community. And I would gather that we put forth a vision, an economic vision for West Louisville that's collaborative. I would beg someone to ask Sam Watkins if he believes that a Walmart here would support his vision for the work that he's doing at 15 San Muhammad Ali. I would ask someone to ask Sherry Bryan Hamilton, who has worked for over 7 or 8 years just to get lights and new sidewalks along Market Street. Would a Walmart support that work that she's doing there? That's a question. A collaborative vision would do something similar to what President Obama is doing with promise zones across the country. He's designated communities across the country in distress as promise zones, and they get priority funding from federal programs. Can we do a similar project like that here in Louisville, where public resources are prioritized for communities like West Louisville, and projects like here at 18th and Broadway that get priority funding for innovative approaches? And lastly, I suggest that it be an innovative approach. I couldn't stand here and walk away being a future agriculture economist and not suggest that the vision that our mayor again has put forth for local food might not be a part of this development. That the collection of food, the packaging of food, the marketing of food could be happening here at this property that once manufactured tobacco, a product that was killing people, putting hundreds of people to work, but was killing us. How can we create a better vision that would feed people, provide great jobs for people, and also make West Louisville a part of the regional, not just the local economy, but the regional and state economy? So on this day, I suggest that we use this as an opportunity to create a better economic vision for West Louisville, one that Dr. King would be proud of. Because I would suggest that he might not be so happy about a Walmart. CASSA, C-A-S-S-I-A, Heron, H-E-R-R-O-N.
Thank you, Cassa. And my name is Flacco Aliman. I'm the Executive Director for Kentucky Jobs with Justice, and we'd like to give a big thank you to the Kentucky Labor Institute for drafting this report. We'd like to thank CASTA for taking the time to come and share with us some of the work that she's been doing here. And just to be very clear here, Kentucky Jobs with Justice is located on the corner of 18th and Muhammad Ali, right in the heart of the Russell neighborhood. So we have a very much a vested interest in what happens with economic development, with jobs and things like that here in this part of Louisville and West Louisville. As you may know, Kentucky Jobs with Justice is a campaign for workers' rights and creating an economy that works for all of us. And for us, the fight against Walmart and their unfair labor practices doesn't start here on the corner of 18th and Broadway. It goes back several years. As many of you know, on Wednesday, the National Labor Relations Board moved forward with filing complaints against Walmart, finding substantial merit in many of the claims from workers who have been retaliated against since November 2012 for their labor violations. And I'd like to read a quote from Sarita Gupta, who is the National Director for Jobs with Justice. She said, and this is in relation to the Walmart retaliation against workers, and I'll quote, "We've never seen a complaint against Walmart of this size or scope, and we're glad that the NLRB is taking action. Walmart's attacks on its own employees cannot go unchecked." And so as we move forward, when we think about a big box retailer, we think about economic development here on this site, we want to assure the citizens of West Louisville that not only is it going to bring jobs, but it's also going to bring economic development to the community, and that it's not going to suck those resources out and send them to Bentonville, Arkansas. We want to be assured that those workers who work here are not going to have their rights grossly violated, who are not going to be retaliated against for standing up for what they're protected under the law. At Kentucky Jobs with Justice, our first official release when we talked about this project here and the possibility of this being a Walmart here in this location, there were three things that we pointed out needed to be in place for us to be okay with a Walmart coming here. The first is that we would want Walmart to pay a living wage to the workers here. The second is we need Walmart to hire locally within a 2 to 3 mile radius of here, or any big box retailer. And the third is an agreement not to interfere with the workers' right to organize, if the workers so choose to do so. And those are three principles that Kentucky Jobs with Justice will stand fast on when we talk about this big box retailer. The other issue that has come up a lot with folks who've asked a lot of questions about this, we've heard the mayor say just a couple of days ago that he plans and hopes that the deal will be signed and sealed by the end of January. But what we found from many community folks at this point is that there's no transparency in the administration. Folks are getting no answers on what's going on with this project. And so today, on Martin Luther King Day, as we talk about social justice, racial justice, and living in the legacy of Dr. King, part of that is transparency and accountability for our tax dollars go. And so we're asking folks who want to know more about transparency, want to say, hey, we want to know what's going on, we want to know where our tax dollars are going from the administration, and why there's such a secrecy around this project. We encourage people to call the mayor's office and leave a message asking for them to have some transparency and community input. And that number is 502-574-2003. The second call to action we'll have for folks is to save the date for February the 22nd at 4 p.m. We'll be holding a Workers' Rights Board hearing conducted by Kentucky Jobs with Justice and several community allies. At that public hearing, we'll hear testimony from former Walmart employees, low-wage workers, community folks, and we'll also invite the mayor's office and big box retailers to come testify so the community can have a very clear understanding of what this project means and how important this is to West Louisville. What we need is a community to move forward. So I encourage you all to save that date, February the 22nd at 4 p.m. Thank you very much on behalf of all of us here. If there are any questions, we'll be open to questions.
Is it just Walmart, or would a Target or another big box retailer like that?
So the question is twofold. For Kentucky Jobs with Justice, any economic development of this magnitude here we'll have a vested interest in. But in terms of it being a Walmart, this is a fight that we've been fighting with Walmart for several years, pushing on close to a decade, trying to get Walmart to respect their workers' rights. So that really adds salt to the wound.
So if it was a Target, would you be standing here?
That would depend on how amicable a Target would be to respect the needs of the community here. As we know in the past, we just had a fight in Washington, D.C. with Walmart over their urban expansion. And so this is not something new for us that Walmart does in urban communities anymore. This is what we're seeing as more and more of an urban development plan that they're doing, and they're encroaching on urban communities around the country. We don't see Target doing that at this point.
Rocco, this is for you, I guess maybe for Avery. What about the issue or the question, isn't a Walmart job better than no job? What about those who say that?
Most likely, yes. Walmart. If somebody who's working at Walmart works full time, they're still below the poverty line on average, and they're still qualifying for SNAP and other benefits that are which are in effect the government subsidizing Walmart's low pay, which of course Walmart then benefits from, because if somebody uses those government subsidies to shop at Walmart, the labor cost for Walmart turns into a cost to the people, to the taxpayers. It's then fed back as a benefit to Walmart. So in that sense, a job that pays below poverty, it's, I guess you could say, if you can get full-time that way, which is possible but not certain, it's probably better than no job. However, it's also the case that if Walmart costs about as many jobs as it creates in a neighborhood, then that's not the question. The question isn't no job versus a Walmart job. The question is jobs in local businesses versus jobs at Walmart. And it's really important not to assume that the baseline is nothing. The baseline is something else. And there's actually a lot of economic activity in this community. There needs to be a lot more. The question is not whether there's zero or something.
Why would you have to do?
Right. Okay. So, for instance, I don't want to name any businesses, but if there's let's say, imagine a budget mobile phone place or a furniture store. Those places are going to be locally owned. They're advertising locally. They're sourcing their materials, their supplies locally. When they have to compete with Walmart, which offers budget mobile phone services, or when they have to compete with Walmart, which offers furniture at a lower price, they're going to go out of business. So what's going to happen is that not only are the people who own those businesses going to lose their jobs, but it's going to depress the economic activity that supports the advertising company, the company that sells the supplies, the locally sourced supplies for those companies. So that's going to depress the economy. Right now, we're in a healthy economy. You have a lot of interconnections among small businesses that all depend on each other. When Walmart comes in, those interconnections decline. A lot of those businesses go out of business, and all of the interconnections get sucked through Walmart. So Walmart ends up kind of monopolizing the economic activity in the neighborhood. And that's why the closer you are to Walmart, the more likely you want to go out of business.
Right now, there are businesses. I mean, there really isn't much around here right now.
There won't be at Walmart. There won't be this idea that we can groom and support local entrepreneurs. That will no longer be a possibility if you have big box retail at this location. It just won't support that. Oftentimes, people dream and think about what they want along their commercial strip. This is a commercial district. They think about Bardstown Road, or they think about Frankfurt Avenue. Folks in Frankfurt Avenue, Bardstown Road wouldn't be accepting of Walmart, because they know what it would do to the economic activity that's already there, and it would kill anything else that would be possible. So while Walmart might provide some immediate things that people need, folks do need jobs. People do need a place to go buy diapers for their children. The long-term economic stability of the community will be a detriment to the community for the future.
I haven't talked to Walmart, but my guess would be they would say, we're drawing all these shoppers who maybe otherwise wouldn't be shopping right here at this corner into the community, and so then other businesses do spin off of that. Why is that not true?
One reason that's not true is what ends up happening with Walmart is, while Walmart does generate a lot of revenue from their sales, that revenue doesn't stay local to the community. And that's one of the things that's very important to West Louisville, is that revenue that's generated from this community, at least part of it stays in this community. What we saw in Washington, D.C. just a few months ago, when they pushed it with the Large Retailer Accountability Act, it would raise the minimum wage for retailers of a large magnitude to $13 or to $12 an hour, with Walmart's plan to bring, I believe it was 6 Walmarts to urban D.C. We saw that pass City Council for a vote, and then we saw the mayor in turn veto that under heavy pressure from Walmart. And what we see throughout Walmart's history with labor violations, not only do they pay the workers low, they keep their workers in a situation to where they're dependent on Walmart and they're dependent on government assistance. So what we think because we see all the high sales numbers that Walmart does. What that's actually doing is creating this dependence on federal subsidies and sucking those resources out of the community. And in West Louisville, we need some of those resources to be reinvested back.
I guess I'm asking though from more a shopper standpoint, where people might come to this neighborhood and go shop at Walmart and then go eat at the KFC or shop at the store across the street. Why is that not a possibility?
It's not that it's not a possibility. The tendency is that Walmart used to have the slogan "Next stop home." The whole point of Walmart is you get everything that you need there. So somebody who comes here to shop at Walmart isn't then going to stop at the place across the street that also sells something else that Walmart sells, but for more. So if Walmart brings in other businesses, it's likely to bring in a national fast food chain, which is not contributing to the health and well-being of the community either, right? But it's not likely to bring in a sort of a hive of small businesses that are serving a population of shoppers.
What's the status of this deal right now? Does the council have to approve this, or is this just clear enough?
So at this point, I know there was some news coverage of the deal back a month or so ago, and what was found out, we found out that the mayor's office at a public meeting that the mayor was speaking at a couple of days ago, and when he said to the crowd there that he was hopeful that this deal would be signed and everything by the end of January.
So it wouldn't have to go, the council wouldn't have to go through.
With it being with the confidentiality agreement, it's very, very hard to get any answers specifically around what's next step with this project and how far along it is in the process.
Agatha, can you address that issue about whether the council needs to look into this or approve any deal?
Well, Metro Council definitely needs to look into this issue and be concerned about it. The fact that there's a black box around the administration's deal with this site raises concerns for me. It says to me that there is no accountability, that there is a cloud around local government, and that's not how we're supposed to be. We should be transparent. This should be a community-driven effort. Folks should have a say in what they want to see in this community. It shouldn't be decided by people who live outside of this. And I have a problem with the fact that there is indeed a black box around the administration.
Have you talked to the mayor about this project?
No, we haven't had a conversation about this particular project because we signed a confidentiality agreement, so we can't talk about it.
Would that be standard though for some kind of major economic development thing? If a movie theater wanted to come here, would that also be part of it?
It shouldn't be part of any deal that requires government involvement and government money. It should be open and transparent, just like Dollar General coming to Bellwood Avenue is open and transparent, and people are speaking out about that.
What Metro Council could do though is they could pull the development agreement that the developers have with the city. Oftentimes in economic development, there is some confidentiality between a business, a company, and a developer. But there's right now there's a development between the city who once had the property and the developers. That development agreement has changed. It has expired over the 10 years that this property has sat vacant. So that could be one step that the Metro Council could do, is to pull those development agreements to see where TMG is with that agreement. Has that agreement been updated with economic development officials? Have their terms expired? Have their terms changed? Have the terms been updated based on the original agreement? There's a lot of money floating around the city, so what Metro Council could do in the new budget is say, we're going to take the property back. We're going to spend the $1 million that TMG spent to tear down the property, and we're going to take it back, and we're going to think about something new, something different, something innovative. Those are some things that our local legislators could do.
I know where you guys are coming from. We've been people at home who are watching this, who may watch this. I come back to the issue. They'll say, aren't these folks battling or protesting against jobs and development coming into a community? Help them understand that perspective. I know I answered it once before, but I want to make sure people at home understand where you're coming from.
Right, so there are a few issues there. One of them is that it's not against jobs and development versus for jobs and development. Somebody who poses a false dichotomy makes it really difficult, stacks the deck in favor of the side that they want. What I found in doing this report was that the real question is what kind of jobs and development.
Yes.
If you take for granted that the city owes it to this community to invest and build wealth in this community, then the question is, how should the city do that? But what I think, and I'm sorry, I know that you're speaking for somebody else, so what your question presupposes is that the question is whether the city will invest in this neighborhood. And that shouldn't be a question. It would never be a question in the Highlands or Frankfurt Avenue or the East End whether the city will bother to invest in this neighborhood. Right? The question is how the city should, because the city owes it to this neighborhood to invest in this neighborhood. So the question is then how, and this is one. Walmart is one answer to how, and I think that we've shown why that's not a good answer. It doesn't add to the jobs. Net no increase in jobs, and it shifts wealth from the community. What, admittedly, what relatively little economic activity and wealth there is that needs to be enhanced, it shifts wealth from the community and pulls it to Arkansas and then to Walmart shareholders somewhere else, not in Walmart.
If we're talking about an agreement that's hoped to be signed by the end of the month, I mean, you guys are really up against a deadline. Do you really feel like you could do something about this, like something might happen here?
And so in our hopes do not just rely on what we can do as organizations, but also lies in what the community can do. We definitely believe strongly in the people of West Louisville and in the community here. And we want to create a forum, a space where folks can ask these questions. Folks can ask the question, why is there such a black box or a veil of secrecy around this project? Will Walmart create an economy that works for all of us in West Louisville, given the fact of what we've seen in the past, over the past couple of years of Walmart's urban development? So it's not just, for us, it's not just about what we can do to halt this project or to stop this project, but it's about how folks in this community have an opportunity to engage in the process. And in lack of an open process from the administration, which is part of the reason we're having the hearing on February the 22nd, so that folks in this community, whether this deal is signed or not at that time, can have an opportunity to share their thoughts and to give input on what's needed here at this site. We would like to thank everyone for coming out today. Today is Monday, January the 20th.